We're live.
We're live. I hope you're all tuning in today. We are the Podguyz Podcast, bringing it to you as we do every Monday, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. I am Tony Kaz.
Kevin Neary here.
Of course, we have the ever-loving Picasso, the doer of all things Trekkie, the doodler of all things crazy.
There you go.
The impeccableness of everything impeccably. Of course, Le Picasso, Sparky.
And Sparky's there with his big board, big bubble letters. The H and the I is there. Sparky's muted for good reason because he is our on studio, on target live artist right now. So he kind of talks. We talk a little bit. He draws what we talk about for the most part in such detail. It will make your head spin and wonder if you are actually living inside of one of Sparky's drawings, or are you in the reality you are assumed to be in? Tony, I think we have a fourth square.
You know what? We have an amazing guest this week. We are very humbled from such amazing TV shows such as Star Trek, For All Mankind, Godless, The Burbs, and Strange Angels, to stellar blockbuster hits like Spider Noir, Independence Day, and Pearl Harbor. We are very honored and humbled to have Randy Oglesby on our show. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. You're too kind.
Whew. It's a lot going in there. I missed a lot.
You did good.
Now you are a writer, actor, thespian, equestrian connoisseur.
Well, you're what you've done your research. You got it.
I may have read a thing or two, watched a video or six.
Yeah.
But sir, it is our pleasure to have you on our show, of course.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, you are a person that needs no introduction when it comes to the world of TV and movies. You have been in it all from top to bottom. We have to go into your past, your present, and your future, of course.
Okay.
Now, of course, how did it all start for you, sir?
Well, how it all started. Very good question.
That's all we do here.
Okay. I did not have any note when I was coming through high school. I had no notion that I was going to be an actor. It was not in the cards. I did a couple of musicals in high school. I enjoyed it. I did some singing, and but I was not by nature a performer. Some people are performers. They like to perform.
They love it.
I'm on a different part of that particular entertainment spectrum.
Of course.
Everybody's comes at it a little different. And my initial, when I went to college, I was in the pre-med program, and that was clearly not meant to be because I had a terrible semester, flunked out big time. During the Vietnam War, it was 1969. And that began one of a series of very strange odd jobs that I had to do to get by. I became a scrub assistant in surgery. I literally was holding retractors and helping surgeons during surgery for about 3 months at the Baptist Hospital in Memphis, figuring, well, if I'm going to go back to school, the Vietnam War was on. I got as far as being getting a physical. I was about to get drafted. I wanted to get back into summer school, get my deferment. And so I thought, well, I'll work at the hospital. If this medical thing means it has any traction for me, maybe I can do something. This will give me an idea. Amazing job. I saw everything from open heart to facelifts to you name it. I did so many gallbladders. I worked on so many gallbladders I could have done one. Anyway, get back into school in the summer. I took a drama course just for the fun of it. And that was the beginning.
You said that was your love, that was your passion, that was everything that you wanted to be.
Well, let me be a little less romantic.
I'm ready for this. We're all ready.
I was a young guy who suddenly needed a career. I needed a goal, and I took a theater course and we read plays. I wasn't even acting. And then the next semester, I did few more theater courses. I ended up being in the first acting class that the University of Virginia had ever.
Nice.
I feel, and I'm speculating 100%, but I feel like there had to have been a good-looking woman that you looked at in the theater and you're like, hey,
There were a lot of those good-looking women. Are you kidding?
just
was
stuck
definitely
in
one of the-
there, and
It
you're
was
like,
a fringe benefit indeed. Wow. So that
There's got to be always one. There's got to be something that's pushing you to be,
Well, I will. It was one that was my story about how I got to California. But because I fell in love with a woman who was a screenwriter, and I was in New York at the time, and ended up.
Do we have to blast a name? Do we have to? It was somebody that was so prolific.
No. You don't get. No.
it's tell you what,
Never
man.
Never know. We're trying. We're trying.
Yeah, it's all
good.
right.
Nice try. Good.
The passion, the passion of romance will drive you to do some incredible things or some stupid things. One of the others.
It drove me to the Gray Rabbit.
There you go.
And what was the Gray Rabbit? It was a hippie bus line that ran nonstop between Manhattan and Los Angeles, and that's how I ended up getting to L.A.
My God!
Wow!
For 3 days on the bus. I had been a bicycle messenger and a cab driver in Manhattan. After UVA, I in those days, in the early 70s through the 70s, you went to you had if you wanted to be an actor, you basically went to LA or New York, Manhattan, Los Angeles. That was kind of the route. And I was in New York after I left Charlottesville, which is where UVA was. I ended up in Manhattan, studied acting with a wonderful teacher named Julie Bavasso. God bless her. She's not with us anymore, but I got a great beginning. I knew at that point I needed to, the late 60s, 70s, that was the Cultural Revolution, for my generation. And people were just flooding into the arts, but there weren't a lot of theater. Colleges didn't have a lot of theater classes. They didn't have acting classes. That all came later, when people were, music, theater, dance, all took off at that time during the 70s, and suddenly colleges were providing that. But you didn't have that originally. So, and I got to a point. I was doing plays. I did a little summer theater here and there. And I would get to about 2 weeks into rehearsal and just not know what to do. And I knew I couldn't depend on the directors, to help me. I mean, some would, some wouldn't. I didn't want to depend on it. So I knew I needed more training. And that brought me to New York and Julie Bavasso's classes. I studied with her. And I was driving a cab. I was a bicycle messenger. It was pretty close to the bone. I was living on 6th Street in the East Village between 1st and 2nd. And New York in the 70s could be a pretty heavy place.
That's for sure.
I don't know if you recall,
but wasn't alive during that time, but there was no, was not alive. I'm an 80s baby right here.
My mom always tells me stories about her and my grandfather. They grew up in Forest Hills in Queens.
Yeah.
And New York was just such a vibrant city, fresh with culture and music and fashion and passion. And like the people were just invigorating, and everything about it was just,
you got a high crime rate too back then too, man.
There was a high crime rate.
Because you have, so like compared to then, everybody's got a cell phone to call the cops, right? Back then, you had to fucking call from your house. You had to go to a payphone or just yell, help, help. And even then, the cops would be like, oh, we know that guy. He paid us off, so go to hell, sort of thing. Yeah. So what the statistics don't show is something like that. But man, tight to the area all around. So then you get to California, you work your butt off, or you're still.
No, I get to California.
Yeah.
I went because I was in love.
On via the hippie bus.
Right on the bus.
The gray rabbit. The gray rabbit took the gray rabbit. They had seats in the front, but they put bunk beds in the back, so
Nice.
people could sleep and crash because you're going direct. You're going nonstop. You're stopping to get gas. You're stopping to maybe get some food here and there. But it was I get to LA. Of course, the romance is immediately in the tank the minute I get there. So that was done.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, live and learn. Better to have loved and lost than not have loved at all.
Mhm.
So, but I met some people that had gone to acting school at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, who at that time had a summer program. I auditioned for the summer program, got in. I go to San Francisco in 1975, the spring of 75. And that was the beginning of 7 years in San Francisco, where I studied acting and then worked in the acting company. They had the American Conservatory Theater was created by a wonderful artistic director named William Ball.
Mhm.
And Bill managed to have NEA grants and grants and financial support from the San Francisco community. They hired 35 actors for 9 months. You got a LORT A contract for 9 months.
Wow.
35 actors, and they did rotating rep. So they would do 5 shows a week. Well, they would do 8 shows a week in rotating rep. So they could do 3 different. You could do 3 big plays, 3 different big plays, during the week, over the 8 performances that you would be doing. And I did that for till 1982. And at that time, agents from Los Angeles would come to San Francisco and scout young actors. And in 1982, the company no longer hired a full company, and a lot of us were out of work, basically. And that was time to go to LA. And I had an agent, Michael Bloom Agency. Michael Bloom had seen me in shows there. And while
Now,
I was in
which shows did you do in particular while you were in New York?
in New York, I only did 1 show in New York, and it was a workshop of The Robber Bridegroom with Raul Julia. And literally about 2 years later, while I was in school at ACT, I got a call from them saying, "We're going to bring that show to Broadway. Would you like to come?" And I had to make a big decision at that point. I could have gone to Broadway in 1970. That was 76, I think, or
Wow.
77. And I chose to stay in school. And I do not regret the decision.
Great decision. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
because I was learning so much, I was getting I was getting my toolkit together that I needed to continue, so that I didn't need to depend on other people in the midst of a project.
Well, the one
Not
thing
to say it also shows like your chops, as far as your dedication to the art form, and not necessarily just taking the easy way out. And there's I'm not going to push names as far as like people that deserve to be where they're supposed to be, but it takes a lot of hard work.
Well, I'll tell you, in that 7 years in San Francisco, I did 40 plays.
Wow.
Yeah. And you learned the company was built on a classical English repertory model. They hired 34 actors. You had leading men, leading ladies, juveniles, men, women. You had character men, character women. I worked with so many wonderful people. It was a real initiation, and it was. I look at back that as those were the salad days, because to have a regular acting job for 9 months, and I had one for 5 years like that, crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 years. That's
Yeah,
Long time.
yeah. It was a great run, a great gig. And in those days, I mean, it was as an actor, there's a different route these days. For one thing, you've got more acting schools. All the colleges and universities have theater classes.
Mm-hmm.
young people are making movies now. You've got the iPhone to make, everybody's making their own movies, and there was none of that. You know, you did theater, and then you got discovered and brought into the film and television world. You know, if you were in New York, the casting people would go to plays and see you there. In LA, I did, and when I got to LA, I did a lot of 99-seat waiver, which is small theater stuff. You don't get paid. But when I came to LA, I was actually, a bunch of my friends from San Francisco we all came down together and we started a little theater company. And so we started producing and acting and writing in place. And
Wow.
yeah, so you keep your juices going while you're trying to break into to the big leagues.
Yeah, the dog days sort of thing where you're trying to sell. You want an audience there to watch, and because
Yeah,
you don't want to play for empty seats, obviously.
right.
So, did you ever have to go out there and ask people if they wanted to have free tickets, any ticket, $5 for a ticket, something like that?
No, we didn't have to. We didn't pass a hat. Well, actually, for waiver, no. People would, we charged admission, but we weren't getting paid. We weren't getting paid, and we somehow managed to produce these shows. I don't know how we did it, because we would do big shows. We would do a cast of 20 people in a storefront theater in Venice. It was
You had to have people with time and energy in order to actually rehearse.
Yeah, I mean, I was always doing, in those days, in those early years, I was always doing 3 or 4, 5, 6 plays a year.
Wow.
And when I was lucky, I'd get a theater, I'd get a TV gig. I got my first film, but I also worked at the big theaters in Los Angeles, the Mark Taper Forum. I did 7 shows there. We had an Olympic Arts Festival in 1984 when the Olympics were here. And, as they're coming back to Los Angeles, and I did a play, and I played a cowboy in the play, and a young casting director saw me as a cowboy, and he brought me in to read for Clint Eastwood's Pale Rider.
Nice.
And I ended up doing Pale Rider because I'd played a cowboy on stage. So, but there's a funny story about
you
that.
have a very rugged look about you.
Yeah, well, I don't know how rugged, but much more rugged now that I'm.
Some people, you put a cowboy hat on, and you could really imagine them back in the Wild West days. Other people, you put the cowboy hat on, and they're a little bit too clean shaven.
I'm not going to typecast you as anything, but I could see oil tycoon. Oil tycoon billionaire.
Randy, if there's one thing through his career that you could definitely say is Randy's got range, and whenever I've seen
range
throughout every one of your roles that you've had, I don't ever see an actor there. I always see you playing the character every time. And it's a compliment in the most dearest form, because some people, I'll give you an example. Tom Hanks, everything after Forrest Gump, it's Tom Hanks playing a guy.
They never figured out what to do with me. I actually believe they just didn't know.
No,
they didn't know.
I think
this guy.
Well, I think they've got it a little bit too easy for you, because they said to themselves, we could give Randy just about any role. And he's going to not only make the character his own, but he's going to make the whole story cohesive to that one cog that has to be there in the whole entire storyline. And it speaks upon experience. Like there's something we pointed out, me and a friend, Mike Jones. This one guy comes up to us after an open mic. He's like, you guys were really good. And we're like, Mike says, well, me and Kev have been doing this for 10 plus years. He's like, this is your first time up here, so it speaks upon experience of how you get into character. And I want to ask you a little bit about that. When you're given a character, and I mean, you have been given some real tough ones that I'm damn certain people have had to pass on because they can't do it. It's tough. It's tricky, and you can't really nail it down. when getting into a character, what's your mindset? And I mean, like the toughest one I can even think of, mask acting, that's kind of tricky right there. When it comes to Star Trek. But even like you've been in not just Spider Noir now, right? Which, by the way,
right.
I watched.
Kudos, sir. Kudos.
I watched last night, and I watched in the black and white because I'm like, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Black and white. It's cool in black and white, and
Yeah.
I really like watching myself in black and white. I will say.
I think it was meant to be shown that way. So I'm like, I think just watch it that way.
And Brendan Gleeson in black and white is a real treat.
No, you're right.
I mean,
yeah,
he's got a mug, and it's a marvelous thing.
Nick Cage, he's gonna deliver exactly
Very
what
good.
you want every time, and
He's very good, very good.
it's-
Good part.
it- Oh, yeah, absolutely. The and don't get like sometimes he gets
Dramatic.
he gets some flack for oversaturating the market, like where it's and that what was
the
that?
over exaggeration of enthusiasm. That's what we're gonna go with.
Yeah, the so if you're in a lot of stuff, mainstream stuff, people are just like, Nick Cage again. But when he's got a role like he's putting on right now, and every episode, like I don't do the commercial thing. I'll pay more for no commercials. I don't want to be taken out of something if I'm into it. HBO Max, I did that Black Friday $3 thing, and there's nothing but commercials. It's basically like I threw $36 out the window and just have fun with the whole idea. But getting back to the original question, when you're given such a tough character, how, if you can explain, you can explain, but how do you wrap your mind around that idea and really get into it?
Well, it's all human. I mean, it's all about human nature, and we're all basically, we all have the same drives, needs, wants, desires. You just look at the character and determine what those are, and then you've got something to do. Then you can play something. Then you've got an action. You've got an objective. When you walk in front of the camera, you're doing something. Just to back up a little bit, when I got the role in Pale Rider, which let me give you a quick story about. Jimmy Stewart always said luck was a very important part of the business. You needed a little luck. Well, I did Pale Rider, and when I did the movie, it was great. They cast me in this role. I even got to name the character. They cast me, and they didn't have a name for this character. They said, "What do you want to call him?" I said, "You know what? We're going to call him Elam," and it was an homage to Jack Elam. Do you remember Jack Elam?
No.
Oh man, he played in all the westerns. He was a guy that had one of his eyes pointing in the wrong direction. He was a bad guy. He was one of the great bad guys in all the old westerns from the 40s and 50s, man, Jack Elam. So I become Elam, but
I remember who he is now. I had to look him up, but I remember who he is now.
Yeah, you'd know exactly. Oh, you'd recognize him right away. So I become Elam. Well, they told me they were going to write some lines for me, but that's, they're never going to do that. So there you go.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
He was fabulous. He was in every bad gang, So
he's a good-looking guy too.
He was old Hollywood. I mean, they were all cowboys and wranglers, and they all knew how to ride. And I mean, LA was a very Western. I mean, there was a lot of horses in LA back in the day. It was a big horse community here. So I didn't end up with any lines, but I had to create this character, and I think, who is this guy, and what am I going to do when I walk into the scene? I mean, it's not like theater where you sit around a table. Movies and TV is not like theater where you sit around a table and work for, a week or a week and a half reading the play and talking about it and thinking about it. No, you get a job in a movie, you show up and you're ready to go on the day. So I thought, what is this guy? Who is he? And I decided to make him really stupid. And when somebody's really stupid, what they're trying to do is catch up with what's going on around them. So I figured there's going to be a look in his eye. He's trying to figure out what everybody else is doing. So in any scene, and if you look, I swear, if you look at the movie, look at me when you do see me, and that is exactly what you see. You see this idiot trying like crazy to keep up with what's going on around him. But so you say, how do you get into character? Well, that's that, that I gave myself a task, and based on who I thought this person was. So character is built like that. I mean, I was never one of those actors that, somebody asked me, said, well, when you played a cop, did you get in a cop car and ride around with police and that? No, I didn't. I didn't do that. I was never that, never quite went in that direction. But it's human nature. You play, in Star Trek, it's people say, well, how do you play these creatures? Well, they're creatures, but the story is going to dictate what your character wants, needs, what's motivating them. And those are the things you relate to that. You personal, we call it personalizing. You personalize those aspects of the character. You identify with them somewhat. You embrace them as and that's how you get to the character. Basically.
I mean, you've been some pretty prolific characters without being one of the main characters in the show, for like the series itself. You've been one of the most prolific bad guys / good guys.
I did. The first when I met my wife back in the late 80s, at the end of the 80s, going into 90. I was doing LA Law. It was I did a lot of David Kelly shows, and LA Law was one of them. Mm-hmm. And I played a character named Leonard Nip. And he was an insurance adjuster who's being brought up to trial for filling out false claim forms to support his dominatrix.
Wow, classy.
Classic. Now, it was this show that was my introduction to my wife's parents. So I'm
better.
I'm playing Leonard Nip, aka Little Lenny the Worm, and because I've been filling out false claims forms to support my dominatrix. And Leonard was. It was very funny. I can't remember.
How do they approach you with that role? Do they say like, "Hey, we got a guy here," and we think that?
No. They don't approach me.
No?
They bring me in. Well, I mean, they bring you in, and they bring you and 10 other actors in, and you read for the part.
Oh, so you got the part? Okay, so you got the part over.
I have never been one that got offered many parts. I would occasionally get offered a part, but mostly I was always auditioning, and still am. I've never made it into that rank where maybe there were enough, I was a name.
But Randy, you feel good about nailing the audition and getting the part, and then you read more about the character, and you're like, this guy's a fucking whack job.
I knew it was a whack job when I read the part.
Yeah. But then you have to get kind of excited over the whole thing.
Well, because it was very funny. I mean, it was funny stuff. I mean,
that's a great part. Yeah,
it was a great part, and because the meaner they are to him in the trial, the more he likes it. And at the end of the trial, my lawyer has to say, "Your Honor, my client would like to address the bench." So I get up as Leonard and I say, "Thank you, Your Honor. I've been bad. I deserve to be punished." And the tag was, so they I'm guilty. I'm going to go to jail.
Yeah.
I'm standing there. They've made the judgment. I'm standing there, and and my exit is this very large blonde prison matron walks up behind me. Mm-hmm. And suddenly they, now you, Mr. Nip, you have to, and I hear her, and she walks up behind me, and I hear her, and I turn around and look at her and go, "Oh my."
In Star Wars fashion, Oh
Yeah.
my.
Oh my.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this prison routine. This is gonna be good.
this secretly the punishment is not much
Is
of a
the
punishment.
reward.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was that was what my wife's parents how they first met me.
The judge in the show should have, been like, in light of your fetish, just sit in a room and keep complimenting him. Tell him how great of a guy he is. That'll fuck him up. Sparky's got something there on the big board. Sparky, flip it around, see what's going on. It says, you will charge extra to your clients for my new leather whip. Yes, mistress. Snap. What the heck is going on there?
You got it right there, bud. Yeah.
Just for our viewing audiences out
you're
there.
in the
just
ballpark
in
with that one. Yeah. Sparky's paying attention.
He's doing something. He's doing something. He's watching and listening.
Yeah.
Now, of course, of course, Randy, you've been in some crazy, not to say some crazy movies, but you were in Liar Liar.
Liar, yeah.
With Jim Carrey, of course.
Yeah.
One of your most prolific, not to say prolific movies, but The Lone Ranger.
Yeah, that was the part was I was one of a bunch of businessmen kind of stuffed shirts that were it wasn't it was a pretty, it wasn't a great, I mean, it was a nice gig, always a nice gig, but the part was not, I was one of a large group of people sitting around a table, but mainly sort of nodding our heads and occasionally throwing a line here and there, trying to look like we're, doing something important. But that, in terms of the part, that was not as memorable, but it was fun. It's always fun to get on a big movie set,
So I have to throw out the ultimate question for you. Sophie's Choice.
No, I didn't do Sophie's Choice.
No. We're gonna do a Sophie's Choice for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Sophie's Choice is taking your best and worst. As far as acting, not even to say acting debut, your acting repertoire far exceeds the imagination of most people, because you've been in everything from like Argo, to NCIS, LA, Law and Order, Bones, like you imagine it, you have been there.
Yeah, it's like a this or that. So I could start us off if you like, Tony.
Go for it, please.
Okay, great.
Please.
Sophie's Choice, and you're familiar with Sophie's Choice, right? The ultimatum. Okay, great. One's got to live. One, yeah, exactly. Okay, so you can only choose one: Jim Carrey, Robin Williams.
Okay,
you can only pick one.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Okay, great. Pick the one that's still alive. All right.
Beautiful.
Jim, even though you were in Patch Adams, and Patch Adams,
I was, but I actually was on the set with Jim. I wasn't on the set with Robin. I was in the van with Robin. But and Carrie, yeah, it's that is a Sophie's Choice because they both were they're both terrific comedians in their own right. I mean, each of them was very, very, very amazing guys. Robin Williams, very sad, what happened to him, but anyway.
And playing the Surgeon General in the Onion movie, you got to flex a pretty comedic muscle yourself.
I have one of each. ER versus Chicago Hope, because you have been in both as well.
Yeah, Chicago Hope.
Chicago Hope. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Less networky.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I had a more interesting part, and I was working with a kid on that show who had just done Sling Blade.
Okay.
You remember Billy Bob Thornton?
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton, yeah.
This kid had been in Sling Blade, and I thought, this is very cool. He was a very good young actor. I don't know whatever happened to him, or if he's still.
Nobody ever knows, Yeah.
But anyway.
That old chestnut.
Yeah.
It's tough because, I mean, imagine you were an adult doing the whole thing. There are parents out there, such as myself, grooming their children, such as myself, to do the whole acting thing and that. My kid's only one, just, put her out there. But there, when you see the behavior of the parents during like these little model shoots and that, oh my God, I'm like, I don't think I have that, that kind of filth. on my soul yet, sort of thing.
Yeah.
The
yeah. Can be a little weird.
Yeah, but you did
one
have
more choice for you. One more choice.
Yeah,
Deep
yeah.
Space Nine versus Voyager.
Ooh, good one. Yeah.
Oh, Deep Space. That's easy.
Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
And why?
Well, it very simply because I the one part that I did on Star Trek of the 7,
which you hold the record for, by the way.
Yeah, well, I think somebody else is we're tied, but I only get the 7 because one of the characters I played was twins.
Oh.
On Deep Space, I play Akel and Rokel. On Deep Space, so that's what gave me the 7. Maybe that's a little bit of a cheat, but
no.
And Deep Space had another great character that I really enjoyed. Sileran Prin was this Kardashian who had been blown up in a terrorist attack, and half of his face was destroyed. And he kidnaps. I don't remember the character, but Nana Visitor played the role. I kidnap her. She's very pregnant. I'm living on an asteroid in a container crate, basically, and I kidnap her because I intend to remove the child from her and raise it and kill her.
Oh,
it's in the last 15 minutes.
That's a saucy script right there.
Yeah, it's really he was a sick puppy. But the character. It was the last 15 minutes of the episode, and it was one of the longest master shots I've ever done, because I think the scene lasted about 10 minutes. And they'll do it in those days. They used to do a master where they'll roll the whole scene and catch it all in one big piece.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like doing a little play. And I've got her. I end up getting her. I put her on the table. I've got a laser. I'm about ready to open her up, take the child. And bad things happen to me, but
I can hear your passion in your voice. I love it.
He was just so creepy. And the other the thing that's worth noting about this part, I was in the makeup chair 5 hours.
Oh yeah,
it took 5 hours to do that makeup and 3 hours to get out of it. So
now I posted a couple promo pictures as far as what you have done as far as makeup is concerned, and I've always found I found it really, really interesting that you had very, not to say very elaborate type of course makeups.
Oh,
but
yeah.
In general, you've had some really, really elaborate makeup styles and makeup artists that have worked on you for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, that was all Star Trek. The big makeup was Star Trek. I mean, all those. I tended to be, most of the parts I played were sort of in the humanoid direction.
Of course,
but
whoever casted the Star Trek Next Generation, I'm not talking way back in the 70s, all that.
Right.
But you have to start from a basis of somewhere. But whoever was the casting director really had a root of actors to go to, because I can't find one instance where they had a skip of a beat. Maybe one basketball player, I won't say his name, but but they really had they had a whole crate full of actors basically to just go from. Was there just a whole agency that they went from?
No, I tell you, it was Junie Lowry Johnson's office, and she had a guy working for her, a guy named Ron Surma. Ron retired, I think, not too long after we did Enterprise. But Junie cast that show for years, and Ron was her guy that did most of he was sort of, we would read with Ron and see Ron. And they used a lot of theater actors, because theater actors could handle, Star Trek language could be a little bit arch, a little bit not naturalistic,
it feels Shakespearean to a degree, but only in space. It's
But so theater actors, having dealt with language, Shakespeare, the classics, were a little more, I think, a little more reliable. So they called in a lot of theater actors. I mean, a lot of my buddies, I mean, we all aspired to do Star Trek. Some of my friends, they never made it, and that was one of the things, they felt like they missed something because they didn't get to do Star Trek. But and they would call in, a lot of, in those days.
I mean, even Sir Patrick Stewart, who
Yeah, yeah.
of course, was one of the main protagonists in that show,
Mhm.
a huge thespian actor.
Yeah. And Scott Bakula, whom I worked with in Enterprise. I mean, I had like an 11 episode arc in Enterprise, which was a great arc. And Scott, was a well-trained, experienced actor, stage and film and everything
Now,
else.
wouldn't it be a great rug pull if they, at the last episode, they just pull him out and it was just him quantum leaping again?
That would be awesome.
They're like,
Quantum leap.
son of a bitch. He's like,
Yeah.
Ziggy, I'm
You
out
got
of
me
here.
again.
This was the longest episode of Quantum Leap.
Yeah. But a little sidebar, and again about Star Trek actors. In Enterprise, when I did that big arc as one of the Xindi, and the Xindi had humanoids. The Xindis were all from the same planet, but there were different varieties of Xindi. There were humanoids and sloths and aquatics and reptilians. Well, the guy who played the reptilian Xindi, who ultimately murders me,
Mhm.
was an actor that I was on Broadway with.
Nice.
And we knew each other very well. And through the whole episode, we were antagonists, And then at the end, he dispatches me. But that
Do you
was
get
it.
to
That
that
was-
point where there's a lot of, and not to say like, I see you as a very classically trained actor, just getting straight to the point, doing what you need to do. How many outtakes are there?
How many what?
Outtakes are there where you're just like
Take twos.
you and your
Yeah.
buddy, you're in the zone, and like
Yeah.
there's your guys are going off script.
Oh, no, we don't go up.
Nothing.
That's one thing about theater actors, because we don't. If you're doing Shakespeare, you don't go off script.
No,
You don't go off script. Yeah.
If you're doing classics, the text is
It's that's what it is. Yeah.
Well, you don't. So now I have improvised. One of my favorite. I
I
improvised.
guess
a
that's my
line-
question. Where have you
Okay.
improvised?
Okay, I did Independence Day. I don't know if you remember Independence Day.
Of course. Yeah.
I have a scene with Randy Quaid where I play this mechanic, and we're at a bar, and and me and another mechanic are teasing him because he claims that he'd been abducted by aliens, and I'm giving him a hard time. And of course, as we're sitting at the bar, suddenly the spaceship appears behind us in the window, and I get up and walk to the window, staring, and there's the spaceship. But at one point, they needed a little video clip of me and this other mechanic being interviewed about this Randy Quaid's character. And Emmerich said, he said, he said, you guys go with the B camera, and the B camera is going to shoot this. And you're going to shoot a scene where this woman, a TV personality, is interviewing you, and shoot this scene where she's interviewing you about Randy Quaid. And I said,
Which,
well,
by
well,
the way, Randy Quaid, an amazing actor.
Yeah, very good
for his time, of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's super funny dude.
Yeah, well, I didn't, it was a short scene that I had with him, so I can't say that I spent a lot of time with Quaid, but he was good. He was very good in the scene. You're doing the work. I mean, we didn't do a lot of socializing, so I can't really speak to that. But so they send us off to do this, and I said, well, we don't have a script. They said, well, just make it up. So they're basically sending us off with the B camera to improvise this little scene. And the scene is one where she's interviewing us about this Randy Quaid's character, and that he claims he was, had been abducted and the aliens had taken him and stuff like that. And at one point in the scene, and this came out of the blue, I looked at her and said, oh, yes, he was abused. He was abused sexually.
That needed to be in there in every way. Because that would pinpoint to that character. And Randy Quaid's character was cuckoo in the movie.
He was cuckoo. But I remember seeing that when I first saw that movie. My daughter went with me, and that was the biggest laugh in the movie. That line got a huge laugh.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was abused sexually.
That was those are the blanks that you don't need filled in, but when they are filled in, okay, all right, we got it. We figured that's where. No. What they did to him.
Yeah, what they did to him. Oh, you don't want to know.
And by the way, that character was so much bigger than, and not to say bigger than Will Smith's character, bigger than
Tony. I mean, I think more relatable is the idea there, because an everyman character that needs to be portrayed in that situation.
Beautiful.
You hit it on the head with the hand, to the point where when you say something like that, everyone knows someone that would say something like that drunk at a bar, and you're just like, God, we know, man, we know. I mean, maybe now, like, especially with the realization of the ship being there, but the besides Independence Day, there's a scene. I'll switch up movies here, just for a moment, if you don't mind. With the movie Unthinkable, and Samuel L. Jackson having the exchange that you had, right? And that's you having, I mean, damn near perfect chemistry in character. I know Samuel L. Jackson now, but even back then, like, that's 2010-ish.
Yeah.
So
I guess it was.
That Snakes on a Plane, Samuel L. Jackson.
No. That is after The Negotiator, Samuel L. Jackson getting away from the whole thing. But how did you feel in character when it came to that scene perfectly?
I'm good. Well, it's a very intense scene for my character. Sam played it very, very cool. And I'm kind of at Mach 10.
You're coming in hot.
I'm coming in hot, and he was coming in cool. So if you don't come in hot, he can't stay cool. No.
Like, for one of those scenes.
I had to hold down that part of the, the balance.
You have to hit that note, or he's not able to hit that other note.
Yeah, I mean, my pants are in a twist, because I'm the big kind of I'm the main guy who's responsible for getting the finding out where the friggin' bomb is.
Yeah.
And the clock is ticking, and I've got all the pressures on me. I mean, I'm on the hot seat.
Yeah.
So that's why I ended up going. I don't know that I could have played it any other way. But that's where it went. Yeah.
It's if one syllable was off, or if his rhythm towards it. I mean, I was watching scene by scene on it, and I'm like, damn, this is good. This is some good stuff. And again,
Steve Root's in that, and he's very good.
Yeah, no, yeah, Steve, but still, again, don't know that anybody's acting in it, really. Just aware that there is a situation, there's a scene going on, and everyone's portraying it in such a perfect rhythm to a degree. And you know what? Unthinkable didn't really boom in the box office or anything. Didn't really get mentioned as much as it should have.
Well, I think didn't it? Yeah, there was something around it being released that was a problem. That they had I think there were some producing problems, and it didn't get the kind of release that they wanted to give it. It's a very dark film, though. I mean,
very, very dark film. Yeah.
I mean, Michael Sheen is great too, lest we forget.
Yeah.
He's very good. He's a wonderful actor.
I always say whenever they're portraying such a dark, plot, you need a cartoony aspect to lighten it up a little bit. That why the Saw movies had that stupid little clown thing come out, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a stupid little toy." All right, now we're kind of warmed up a little bit, but it takes away from the actual, realism of it. Like you would never fucking need a stupid, if you're gonna torture somebody, you're not like, all right, you're gonna need a toy first. It's like you don't though. You really don't need this, or
no, you don't need the toy.
Now you've been in 2 Marvel productions as well, correct?
Yeah. Was that WandaVision and
WandaVision is the first one, and now Spider Noir as the second one.
Yeah. And WandaVision, and you could not choose 2 more different projects. Really.
Oh yeah.
Opposite, because WandaVision, that's more like in the basis of a manipulated dream world, and then Spider Noir. Even when watching previews of Spider Noir, I'm like, ooh, if and I want to say it out loud because they might just steal it. If Batman had the balls to do this kind of black and white attempt, that would have been that's like where the hit spot's at. Instead, did you notice in the new Batman movie with Patterson, right? Now that you've obviously seen Law and Order, you probably the Law and Order lens is used in that movie, right?
Oh, really?
So it kind of looks like it kind of makes it seem like you're watching an episode of Law and Order.
Really?
But it's Batman. So like that's like the worst part of it, because they're at a crime scene and then everyone's like, oh, I don't know who murdered this man. Then there's a dude in a full bat suit walking around with Law and Order fucking lens going on and angle and shit. And I'm like, what? And the one cop says, hey, does he need to be here? And I'm like, fucking good question. If they weren't using that lens, I'd be like, yeah, that jerk. But no, he's like, of course he does. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. Full bat suit guy, while there's a murder in the room. Like I'm right here, gung gung, any moment now throughout the whole thing. And it just, I don't know. It's just, I know what they were going for. They kind of trickled upon that line where you're like, damn it, like this is a little ridiculous, at this exact moment. These
were very different projects. WandaVision was a comedy. I play this ridiculous. I need to get that clip out there with my stuff, because I play a doctor who Elizabeth Olsen is playing a woman who's I come on, she's pregnant. It was Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen in that scene that I did with them. Very, very, and very, very, very good actors. Very great to work. Paul Bettany, we got along really well. He's English, and he's done a lot of theater, and you kind of can always feel the people that have done theater that have a kind of an attitude about their work that it's very serious, but they're able to enjoy it and kind of stand back. And when you're off camera and about ready to come on or something, it's like you're in the wings again, and there's a great kind of camaraderie around it. But I play this doctor who is overseeing the birth of their child, who was conceived and gestated in about 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very silly.
By imagination only.
By imagination. Yeah, but it was very silly. It was a very funny scene. Very funny. Yeah. And I enjoyed that immensely. And then you've got Spider Noir, which is the total other side of the street, man. Dark, noir,
dark, gritty. Beautiful, just beautifully shot as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I guess my main question is now that you have gotten your feet wet in the Marvel world, do you feel like there's more meat on the potato now, for you to go into future Marvel shows? I guess what is your endeavor? Something that you would love to get into that kind of wets your whistle.
Yeah, they picked up The Burbs, so we're going to be doing that and maybe shooting that in October.
Beautiful, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, and
season 2, right?
my whistle is pretty wet with that. But and I'm looking forward to that because it was that was a really nice set. A lot of good directors. We had women directors, um, and a very, Kiki Palmer, terrific. I enjoyed working with her a lot. And so
Jack
I'm
Whitehall, Julia Duffy, of course.
Julia, yes. Okay. Interesting side note. Julia Duffy, which I have a little romantic, relationship with in
A little something, yeah.
Yeah, a little sweet little, my first on-screen kiss. But the first sitcom I did was Bob Newhart, and the first scene that I did in a sitcom was with Julia Duffy.
Oh, wow.
And here we end up many, many, many years later, 30, 40 years, I don't know, many years later, working again. And
meant to be.
Meant to be. And she's great. She was great. I said, Julia, you remember that scene? And she said, oh gosh, because I play this crazy guy, like this nutcase that manages to break into the TV studio and get on camera. But to do so, he has to get past her.
Yeah.
And she is the secretary who's like, it's her first day. And she unfortunately lets me get past her into the studio. And at some point later in the episode, you hear my voice coming out on the television set, screaming something nonsensical about Mother's Day. But
yeah, Bob Newhart show ran for a while. That ran,
he did, yeah. He did several. I mean, he had several iterations of it. I mean, there were different kind of versions of it.
The only other show to really get away with that to a degree was Burns and Allen, when they would just, switch actors up, and they'd explain it to the audience too, right? And this is, like they knew it was a show. You got a live audience there, and they're just saying, okay, and then back into the whole thing as if they're right back into character sort of thing. And that's the only one I can think of that that was able to get away with it so smoothly as and it probably had a lot to do with Newhart, but Newhart was an interesting guy. But Julia and I had it was a lot of fun. I had never done a kiss on screen. And so here I am leading up to this with Julia. We have a little scene where we do this fairly chaste little smooch. But I said, Julia, I have never done this. So this is the first time. I wanted to kind of get everything, copacetic, and she was very sweet. And of course we had an intimacy coordinator.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Well, take no chances.
It would not be Hollywood if you did not.
No lawsuits here.
Yeah, as long as it was like a lawyer, not like, some guy with a stash and smelling like a rum, rolling in there like, all right, guys.
But you asked me about characters, how you get into character. I played in the Burbs, I play a retired cop.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first read it and they told me about it, and I'm a neighborhood guy, and really in the first 4 episodes, basically I'm on a riding lawnmower. I was arguably one of the highest paid yardmen in Hollywood at that time. I flashed on my father on what kind of guy this would be. My father worked for the FAA. He'd been in the Marines in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
He was devoted to the Marine Corps, and later on working for the government, as air traffic control and stuff. But he was a very, I'm going to say, when we were kids, he used the expression "squared away." Squared away means, is your bed made? Is your room clean? Are you squared away?
Yeah.
And I thought of this, and I thought of my dad when I got this character. And the more I read about it, the more I thought about it. I kept seeing my dad kept coming up, and I thought, this guy is squared away. Everything is squared away, and that was like that was like the thing, the catalyst that sort of informs the work, and gives you something to hang your hat on as you move forward as the character, and in the situations with the other, in the relationships, the other relationships.
It creates a specific energy for the scenes that you're in as well.
Yeah. So I have a weird question, right? You get to that point where you're just starting off in Hollywood. And not to say, what was your first moment where you knew that you struck it big in Hollywood, and then you went home to your family and you were like, holy cow, I'm on the big screen now, and it hits like an epiphany where you just knew?
Well, yeah, I mean,
because you're a very normal guy. Like there's nothing
Yeah, and I don't know it. Maybe it has to do with when I left San Francisco after all those years of theater. I really wanted to start my career in New York because I was stage ready. And in those days, you go to New York, you do plays, they find you, they cast you in movies. That was the route. And here it was a little different here. So I never felt like it never really hit me like that. I mean, somebody asked me, said, when did you feel like you had finally, you felt secure that you were gonna work and keep working? And I was in my early 50s.
Because Randy, you made it big. You were in some of the largest blockbuster movies, television shows, plays, of all time, where you have, and not that I'm tooting your horn for you, but
no. Well, no, I
there's a horn, buddy. I mean, you have made it big for yourself, and not to give yourself the pat on the back, but you would need a well-deserved pat on the back, sir.
Randy, I think I know where you're coming from, though. You come from nothing of fame,
humble beginnings,
you come from nothing to something where you're always busy, you're always trying to keep working, always auditioning.
You're always you never know when it's going to end.
Exactly.
Like,
you don't want to get comfortable and rest on laurels. You are always in it. Get your hands dirty. Once you start relaxing, that is when someone else is going to snatch that role. You got to keep your senses going, sort of thing.
Yeah, you got to keep your, you got to keep showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, really, a lot of it just showing up,
putting in the work
in the day. I mean, I could have 3 or 4 auditions in a day. I mean, I'm going to Warner Brothers in the morning, and then I'm, maybe going over to Fox at noon, and then I'm heading back to Universal again. I mean, you can be driving all over town in a day. And
Randy, have you ever gone to an audition where you see maybe 6 people that kind of look like you, and you're like,
absolutely.
Absolutely. I've had that same experience, and I tell people the same thing, right? And they look at me.
How dare they put 6 billionaire oil tycoons in a room together? Right. How dare they?
I swear, I've been called a liar. They're like, no way. There's nobody that looks like you, Kevin. I'm like, no, but there are. And for some other reason, there's people out there that can find the same type of person, and it's weird. So where you have to, it feels like you're competing against yourself sometimes.
Well, I never, it was never somebody that looked the same, but there were about 6 or 8 or 10 guys that I would always be up against. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's some version of those 10 guys, maybe the 4 or 5 on one shift. We were always going up against each other for parts. I mean, we were kind of like the character actors. I've been the perennial guest star. That's really how I put my career together, by doing guest stars. I mean, that's really all. That's really what I did. I'd say in the last 10 years, I've had a lot more recurring. 10, 12 years, I've had a lot more recurring parts, which is nice.
Would being on the Podguyz podcast be considered the peak of your career?
Absolutely. It is the
I know
apogee.
Put on the board. Put it on the
Right.
board, Tony.
Randy,
Right.
we are a different type of podcast. You know, we're more original. We ask very, very
That's
weird
right.
questions sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
we try to get to the heart of our guest.
It is the Kathmandu of podcasts.
That's what I like to hear.
Take it.
That's what I like to hear.
That's what we're taking it.
Now, I was trying to think of who you reminded me of, and David Koechner. I don't know if you know who he is, but he was an anchorman. You kind of remind me of that particular character
Yeah.
that is like very funny and witty and like really on top of your lines. Have you
Yeah.
ever been at a point where, not to say that you really biffed the, you really
Yeah.
pooped the bed,
Right.
but earlier in your career, when you were getting to that point, was there something that you tried out for and just you had your heart set on it and you were like, oh man, if I did something a little bit different?
Oh, I can't think of I can't think of a specific thing, but I mean, there were always parts that you really wanted, and you'd go in and do the reading, and you'd go out and you think, I really should have done it this other way. And, do I have the nerve to go back and ask if I can come back in again, which I rarely did. And it was probably just as well. But yeah, I mean, there were often times where a nice part, and it's within your grasp, it's in your wheelhouse, you should be able to get it. And then something doesn't click. I don't know. There's always, there's a lot of disappointment. I mean, you got to have a thick skin. You can't be discouraged easily, because
So following that question up, what would be your advice to new actors, new thespians, new entrepreneurs of the entertainment world? What would be your advice to them?
Well, keep showing up, and I think have your need to do the work grounded in something pretty profound for yourself. In other words, your motive needs to be real solid, and you need to know about it, and you need to have that's the way I am. I thought about it. I thought about it. I contemplated it. What are we doing? What are actors doing? Who are we as actors? It's an ancient craft. Many years ago, I determined a couple of things when I was thinking, am I going to go into this acting thing, and what is it, and well, first I realized, and what are is acting going to be around, or actors going to be viable, and what? Well, first of all, I realized human beings, we're voyeurs. We like to watch ourselves.
100%.
I think AI, I would predict that AI will never replace us, because the real actor is what people are going to want to see. They're not going to, now I may be wrong. With the mankind may be warped so much by the machine that it would change.
People drinking the juice.
Yeah, drinking the juice, man.
Well, at least
the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, at least you're leaving enough room on either side where it's not a definitive thing. It's just it's tricky. It's tricky to take away the concept of a real human portraying real human emotions in a scene. And Polar Express is one of those terminologies. And Tom Hanks again, right? Tom Hanks, they call it polar expressing, right? When there's too much CGI and it creeps people the fuck out, like really bad. Where you're in that uncanny valley of like, oh, but this isn't real, and I know it's not real. When like Irishman, Robert De Niro's playing a 37-year-old and he's 80, so they had to do a lot of stuff to the face to make him seem.
You're like, why are you here in this movie? And I don't
know. There's something to be said about loyalty to casting your friends a lot. And then there's like, hey man, give it to another guy. Give it to a younger guy. Literally anyone younger could have done this. There was one scene I was watching, and we're from that area. Where my wife was watching the movie, and she's like, wait, did they say Pittston? So she doesn't believe that the same area had the leader of the whole mafia and ghosts. down in West Pittston in that same area. So, but she's a sweetheart when watching movies, because she'll always talk through it and ask me questions. I'm like, they will show you. She likes the movies that there's a lot of explanation over the phone, where they're like, I know who murdered your son, 5 years ago when we met, of course. And you're like, man, I know who they're writing this for, but I'd really like it if they just had the guy react to nothing on the phone, and then that'll demand your attention. Like,
I see. She's a fan of exposition, is what you're saying.
She likes to play.
She likes the exposition.
A little bit too much. Well, that's the thing too. They have these South Korean dramas that don't give anything like that, and I mean for a long time. And she'll watch that, like, I don't know, maybe because there's a little bit of background music ish, but those shots that they take, I'll give them 100% credit. The angles that they get and the scene by scene transition, they're doing a great job with it compared to soap operas that we're all like, all right, blur the background again and focus in while walking towards the camera, and then we'll go to the hospital scene. We've done this a million times. No one's caught on yet.
Soaps I did soaps now and then, but to get back to what so to get back to what you want, a young actor should know themselves well enough to to be able to stick with it, because it requires a lot of, and you have to have some luck, and which
there's some situation, and not that I'm trying to interrupt you by any means. I think in Hollywood nowadays there comes two different types of actors. And not to say that there is one old school actor who is very much on a thespian category. Someone who is clinically or classically trained, has studied their ass off for many, many years to get where their craft is today. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, you have people that are in such a lucky place, lucky time, and people with zero, I don't want to say zero talent, because they have some talent. They have a talent of trying to pull people in with their particular persona. So you have somebody who's worked years and years. Too.
Yeah, but it's all valid. Yeah. I mean, they're different roads to Rome. They're different roads that get you to Rome. Some people are going to be more like that. Let me. I was trying to tell you. I want to get back to the luck thing, because this is. I love this story. When I did the Eastwood movie, I did Pale Rider. Okay, about 2 years. About 2 years after it had aired, I told you this young casting agent had seen me do the play and had brought me in to read for it. I run into him about 2 years after the movie's out, and he says, "You want to know how you got that part?" I said, "Well, yeah. How did I get that part?" He said, "When we were casting, I was sitting at my desk, and I had a stack of Polaroids at the corner of my desk, and your picture was on top of that stack of Polaroids. And Clint Eastwood walked by my desk and looked down at your picture and said, 'Let's use this guy.'"
Really?
Wow.
That's how I ended up at the movie.
That, you know what? Randy.
There's the luck. There's the luck for you.
I tell you what, your life is a series of butterfly effects, honestly, because you go out there to California on a whim, following your heart.
Hey, that's not a whim. Hey, don't you dare call that a whim. That's love.
Well, you had
it was
right?
love.
Pursuing love.
But you're there, and then Polaroid time. If everything that you did wasn't in that particular order at that particular time, I mean, you might not be on the Podguyz podcast right now. No, I'm joking.
May I bring it in a little clearer?
Bring it. Yeah.
Chance favors the prepared mind.
I love it. Yeah.
And so you get that piece of luck, But when you get that piece of luck, you got to have the prepared mind to take advantage of it.
Preparation. My hat's off to you. I say that to every young comedian: be prepared not to suck. You know, be
right.
It's
be prepared not to suck.
Yeah, because some people, they get a big laugh out of an audience, right? And then it overwhelms them.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't want to get on to their next thing because they're like, whoa, I didn't think that would work. But but speaking of being prepared not to suck, Sparky, you got something on the board there. I see you, penciling around all that nice stuff. It says, "Hi, I am here to try out for the part of the car thief who is part spider, part vampire, who can act as himself." Oh, wait, Nick Cage is here.
Touche.
Yeah, there might have been a guy, before Nick Cage showed up and said, "Hey, I heard there's a Spider-Man around here. I could be that guy." Right. And they're like,
"I could be that guy."
Nick Cage, who called you? I just showed up. Lost $1 million playing blackjack in Vegas. I'm gonna make it back.
I'm back, baby.
That's my best Nick Cage. I have no impersonation talent. Night at the Museum. Wait, no, it wasn't Night at the Museum. National Treasure 4, where they just steal a hat.
Who's this handsome guy?
That is Ronald Reagan. Is that Ronald Reagan?
No, it said Randy Oglesby, actor profile.
No.
You as a football player.
No, that's not me.
Not you?
That's not me.
Oh, all right. Maybe I was wrong.
Hey, no, that's a pretender. That's
pretenders everywhere.
That's an imposter.
Damn body doubles, Tony. But you see, you don't do you do DuckDuckGo, not Google on these searches. Google's got a lot of fake stuff.
When you look up Randy Oglesby, it comes up as some weird stuff. Who has Randy Oglesby been dating? It comes up on the list.
Oh God. But I back to the origins. The other thing I realized about acting was that it's ancient. It's an ancient, and it goes back to the primitive man. When the hunt, the next day they're preparing for a hunt, and they're all sitting around the fire, and the shaman is the medicine man, comes in and he puts on the animal head and he dances for the tribe so that they'll have a good hunt the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that's what actors are doing. We're putting on the animal head and we're dancing for the tribe, but we're not hunting anymore. We're not hunting for animals. We're hunting for ourselves. We're looking for who we are. I mean, that was
that's a dark actor's portrayal right there.
Yeah.
No, it's not dark. I mean, it's just what we're doing. We're it is a search. And it goes right in with the voyeurism. I mean, they're two sides of the same coin, in a way,
Well,
but I think that's
you said something earlier. You said something earlier that was really interesting, and I think you really hit on old school versus new school, as far as the way that you said that no matter what happened when you were going through college, there were not very many opportunities to get into theater, to get into acting, to get into certain things, unless you actually pursued like that particular career. Do you feel like today's new age actor has it a little bit easier because the timetable has kind of changed a little bit, as far as social media,
totally.
Stage presence?
I think it's hugely different. But for one thing, because you can be a content creator, you can make it up yourself. I mean, there's a lot of buzz in Hollywood right now about some of these horror films that are coming out. These young guys that were YouTubers. They came up through YouTube. So it's a very different. The gatekeepers are there, but it functions differently now.
Agreed. Yeah, no, but yeah, no,
They're
100%.
there and they're not. They're there and they're not there.
They're
And what these guys did, they created this content on their own and produced it and put it on YouTube, and then Hollywood finds them in a way, and
They
then
do.
and then brings them into the fold, and then suddenly they get all the Hollywood stuff, the promotions, the money, everything that it takes to get to the big screen. And so it's a different kind of collaboration. And as I said about actors, I mean, it used to be the only route, the only way you got on film and television where either you knew somebody or you did a play and they saw you in it and they brought you in to audition. Now people are making movies with their iPhones and making their own content and going on, Instagram and doing stuff like that. I mean, it's a very new situation out there. And
Randy, there's so much anymore. Like there's for example, I remember the story Bill Burr, right, saying that he got a call from his dad, and he says, hey, he's like, you were in I just saw a movie of you were in a movie with Pacino, and it was a movie that he did 9 years ago, where he was just he wasn't a major part. But he was like, yeah, Dad, that was like 9 years ago. He's like, well, it's new to me. I just saw it now. You know? So I didn't know you were doing that. Just shows how much they're like there used to just be, just Netflix. Oh, well, I do Netflix, no cable. And then now cable's trying to reinvent itself as like, well, you show, like your streaming scenario right here. And it's a better way to get a focus on what people like. Because even if you're, they're clicking around and all that nice stuff, they know how long you are on that piece of information for. So that way they can suggest stuff and kind of, instead of giving it off to a group of writers, now they're funneling it through AI. So YouTube. Yeah,
I guess that's a whole other new frontier,
Yeah,
I can't.
Like YouTube, like the gatekeeper turns out to be a robot that thinks that thinks that they know, exactly what people like. Because it used to be like you subscribe to YouTube and you get all your subscription stuff and you get all your favorite channels and stuff. But instead now it's like now you want to get into the algorithm so much that you're trying your best to hashtag certain things that you think might be trending just to throw yourself into the loop. And not just yourself, but 50 million other people onto it who are all watching, liking, subscribing, sharing, and all that nice stuff.
It's all pretty foreign to me.
But I guess it is just as rare as Clint Eastwood seeing a Polaroid on somebody's desk.
Yeah. No, of course, the production company that is in New York. That's made huge ripples. A24, production company. Yeah. Of course, they're the guys who are like very New York-based independent entertainment, horror genre. They've been making some crazy low-budget movies for high dollar amounts at the box office. And I think a lot of these big production companies need to take note that. Not to say that some of the bigger names don't draw people to the movie theater anymore. They look for a captivating storyline, are the special effects done well? What goes on in that particular movie? And a lot of that information isn't traded off very well, I guess, for newer clientele.
And I don't know, Tony, like a lot of people like a couple of years back set some records on who was going to win, Barbie or Oppenheimer. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know.
Look, that was a cash grab. And there are some cash grabs in the world that they just do what they need to do.
I can't keep up with it. The good thing is I don't even have to anymore.
No.
True.
It's all good.
We're going to wrap this up.
Okay. Great.
We're going to wrap this up.
Been a lot of fun.
We took a lot of your time. I apologize.
Don't apologize. He loved it.
We went through your life and career. I guess my ultimate question is where are you in the future now? Are you working on stuff currently besides The Burbs season 2?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I am. I'm looking forward to the Burbs. I mean, I audition when things come along. I had a nice little audition for Tracker last week. Nothing came of it, but such is life. And I'm actually kind of, well, I'm not kind of. I'm trying to produce a little film, a film of a. This is going to sound a little. Ivan Turgenev was a great Russian writer from the 19th century, and he wrote a series. He wrote a book called The Sportsman's Sketches, which was a bunch of short stories. And one of the stories is a very fascinating story that I'm working with a couple of friends trying to produce. I might act in it.
You don't have to go into too much detail.
Very, very small part. But anyway, yeah, I'm
amazing.
working on that, which is fun. It's a period piece. I adapted it with a friend of mine who's going to be directing, and we're working on that. It's called Lucaria. It's about a woman a beautiful young serf, Russian serf. She's a servant. She has she has an accident, and her life is completely turned upside down. And it's kind of a meditation on how she has endured the great shift in her fortune. Anyway, it's about 30 minutes, maybe, little movie, but we're
look, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when you could just
sometimes
when you just hit together.
Sometimes when you could just hit nothing but juice, right? In 30 minutes, why have any more?
Yeah. Well, that's all it can stand. It's not a big enough story, but I'm working on that, and that's kind of right there, and then waiting, looking forward to see what the Burbs has in store, and
Randy, we cannot pat you on the back hard or long enough.
Well, thank you. Okay, my back is sore.
Give you your accomplishments, sir.
Thanks.
But we shall pat you upon the back.
Thank you.
For everything you have done. In your years and years and years of acting. Kudos to you, sir. Kudos.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you so much for coming on, Randy. It's definitely been an experience educationally for ourselves. You have given our audience a lot to think about, aspiring actors, and then people that are also fans of yours, and people who say to themselves, he sounds familiar. Then they go look at him.
He looks. I can place him.
There has never been a person that hasn't looked you up and then said, like, this guy, all right. And then if you start going through anyone that's watching right now, which we have a lot of live viewers right now, anyone that's going through Randy's catalog of on-screen performances, TV or movie, it's bingeable. It is bingeable to a degree where you can go through a demo reel after just Google them. Just Google them. And you won't be disappointed at all.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Sure. Sparky, where can you find us if you're looking for us, sir?
You can find us on every single major streaming platform, including Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, Castbox, Pocket Cast, GeoReo, YouTube, Facebook Live, Amazon, and anywhere else you can app.
True. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in every Monday as we do 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. I'm Tony Kaz.
Kevin Neary.
Of course, the ever-loving Picasso, Les Sparky. Guys, we'll catch you next week. Mr. Oglesby. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Are we off air?
And we